In the gritty underworld of high-stakes gambling, where fortunes are gambled away with the toss of the dice, two giants found themselves locked in a fierce battle that pushed all boundaries. On one side stood Donald Trump, the flashy casino mogul determined to flaunt opulence and excess at any cost. On the opposing end was Akio Kashiwagi, the mysterious and shadowy Japanese millionaire whose influence reached deep into the heart of the Yakuza. As Trump laid out the lavish red carpet for Kashiwagi, the scene seemed like a display of wealth and extravagance. However, this extravagant show quickly turned into a financial threat for the magnate as he witnessed his empire teetering under the weight of Kashiwagi's massive bets. And then, things spun out of control. Want to know what happened next? Then stay tuned. Our story begins in 1990 in vibrant Tokyo, Japan. Donald Trump, the real estate tycoon turned casino star, was promoting a heavyweight boxing match between Mike Tyson and Buster Douglas. At a fancy pre-fight party, Trump bumped into a mysterious guy standing solo in a corner. This man shied away from cameras with desperation, shouting, "No photo, no photo," when Trump attempted to take a picture with him. Turns out, this enigmatic figure was Akio Kashiwagi, one of the top 5 gamblers in the world, a man of humble origins who claimed to have a net worth of a staggering $1 billion. Kashiwagi was a whale, casino slang for high rollers willing to bet big, ready to wager up to $10 million in a single game. Trump had been trying to win over Kashiwagi for weeks, hoping to attract his questionable but seemingly endless fortune to the Atlantic City casinos. The mogul owned 3 hotel casinos there, including the Trump Taj Mahal, boldly nicknamed the 8th wonder of the world. However, these ventures needed massive earnings to turn a profit, and big-time gamblers like Kashiwagi promised not only huge profits, but also the crucial publicity that Trump desperately wanted. Akio Kashiwagi was the kind of guy who seemed like he stepped right out of a mystery book or a gangster flick, and his reputation as a high-stakes player had already spread far and wide. Word had it that he had already won nearly $20 million at an Australian casino, almost driving it into bankruptcy. But he had also blown through $6 million playing baccarat at the Mirage in Las Vegas. His wealth supposedly came from a profitable real estate venture, but an external audit revealed that his properties were only bringing in $15 million annually with a very small workforce, not nearly enough to justify his sky-high reported earnings. Now, his ties to the Yakuza, the Japanese mafia, those were an open secret. Despite warnings from his casino executives about the risks of betting with Kashiwagi, Trump couldn't resist. He offered Kashiwagi a fancy suite at the Trump Plaza, hoping his big bank account could help his casino business. So, Kashiwagi showed up in Atlantic City, and Trump welcomed him with a signed copy of his book, The Art of the Deal. What happened next was a big show of spending. Kashiwagi stayed in his luxury suite for 2 whole days, with an $800,000 jade Buddha for company. When he finally came out, there were piles of $5,000 chips waiting for him at a private table just for him. Kashiwagi played like a king, surrounded by bodyguards and casino staff catering to his every need. He indulged in marathon baccarat sessions with all sorts of luxuries, warm towels, a lavish private bath, and even his own Japanese chef cooking up whatever he desired. As the Japanese millionaire splurged in his bubble of luxury, on the other side of an expensive marble wall, regular players watched in awe. They couldn't believe how much money one man could blow in a single night. Yet, for Trump, that lavish display was exactly what he'd been hoping for. It was the high-profile publicity he needed to build the world-class reputation he craved. Picture it, Kashiwagi, the top gambler, playing at Trump Plaza. But the whale Trump had reeled in was also a wild beast that could sink his own ship at any moment. Kashiwagi started winning big, stacking piles of chips on the floor because there was no more space on the table. The thought of losing such huge sums made Trump furious. He was playing against someone who could snatch away 40 or 50 million in just a few days. In what he later admitted was a first, Trump called the casino in a panic to check its books. He found out he was looking at a $4 million loss, which could double to $8 million and even hit $16 million if things kept going south. That scared the pants off the now ex-president. But publicly, Trump stayed true to form, arrogant as ever. When facing the media, he put on a bold front, brushing off the massive risk he was taking to satisfy his thirst for attention and drama. With jaw-dropping audacity, Trump boasted to reporters about the epic show they were witnessing, acting like he had everything under control. But behind that confident facade, a cautious Trump was emerging. He hired an odds expert from Rand Corporation to come up with a simple plan: keep the game running as long as possible to let the slight house advantage work its magic. The Japanese whale, who probably wasn't great with odds, agreed to a deal where he'd bet $12 million to double it or lose everything. Trump ran some numbers and found out that after 75 hours of playing, Kashiwagi's chances would drop to just 15%. The trick was to avoid a repeat of his quick first visit. In May, Kashiwagi returned and once again jumped ahead early with a winning streak that earned him another $9 million, leaving Trump a total of $15 million in the red. Astonished, the mogul almost called off the game until his math guru convinced him to be patient. The game went on for over 5 days as the odds slowly turned in Trump's favor. At one point, Trump got desperate and lost faith in math. He turned to superstition, insisting that only women attend Kashiwagi after a switch from male to female staff seemed to bring him bad luck. Finally, after a 6-day saga, Trump's strategy paid off. He won $10 million, covering his initial losses of $6 million and adding an extra $4 million. It seemed like a win that Trump would brag about later as a reminder to never give up. But for Kashiwagi, things were far from the triumph Trump claimed. The Japanese millionaire was furious, believing Trump had acted dishonorably by ending the game early and not reaching the agreed-upon $12 million goal. Kashiwagi was furious, just as furious as the big bets he'd made. With rage in his eyes, the defeated player packed up and left, cursing under his breath. His assistant, speaking for his boss's anger, proudly announced plans to publicly burn the valuable copy of The Art of the Deal that Trump had given them weeks before. Maybe Trump wouldn't have cared about the insult if it wasn't for the fact that the millionaire still owed him a huge $6 million check, which was apparently rejected or canceled by Kashiwagi at the last minute. Trump's executives, furious, angrily threatened legal action against the slippery opponent. But Kashiwagi didn't hold back and hit back even harder. He suggested that Trump himself was the one with credit problems. His assistant dropped the bombshell that a store had rejected Trump's credit card a few weeks earlier. "We feel sorry for Mr. Trump's creditors," he mocked. "No wonder they're freaking out about his upcoming bankruptcy." In the end, both big shots proved to be somewhat pathetic, but Kashiwagi wasn't wrong. Just 2 years later, in 1992, Trump's 3 casinos in Atlantic City went bankrupt. It was a tough hit, but the mysterious Kashiwagi wouldn't live to see that loss because fate had something much darker and creepier in store for him. That same year, in 1992, the body of the Japanese millionaire was found massacred in his mansion on the outskirts of Tokyo, very close to the iconic Mount Fuji. It was a scene straight out of the worst nightmares. The white paper screens of the luxurious residence were splattered with blood, evidence of a brutal and violent death. Kashiwagi, 54, had been mercilessly stabbed over and over again, reportedly up to 150 times according to some chilling reports. And the weapon chosen by his killer wasn't just any knife, but a samurai-style sword. The crime bore all the sordid hallmarks of a murder carried out by the Yakuza, the ruthless Japanese mafia Kashiwagi had always been connected to in a shady way. Trump, on his part, had a unique explanation for why his mysterious rival from the gambling tables met such a violent end. According to him, it was the media frenzy caused by their high-stakes showdown in Atlantic City that ruined the life of the reserved Kashiwagi. One day, he just completely lost it, Trump would later write. He ran out in a panic, fleeing from 2 TV cameras that were bothering him outside his window. He tripped on the sidewalk and broke his ankle. That was the last time anyone saw the Japanese millionaire alive. Japanese authorities made an arrest in connection with the murder, accusing a local suspected gangster linked to the victim's son, as reported by the Los Angeles Times. But the exact motive and masterminds behind the brutal crime were never fully revealed. What's clear is that the enigmatic Japanese millionaire paid the highest and bloodiest price for his brief but intense encounter with Donald Trump's ruthless ambition in the world of high-stakes gambling. When asked about his former rival's tragic end, Trump showed respect. "I enjoyed our games. He was a great player who liked big bets. He helped me make a lot of money when I needed it, but he never expressed regret, and it's not entirely clear if Kashiwagi actually made Trump any money. In fact, if you tally up all the numbers, it seems Trump at best broke even, and maybe even ended up losing money after his high-stakes showdown with the Japanese gambling legend." Trump did get the publicity he always wanted, that's true. But it's hard to call it a win when that big gamble barely kept him afloat while his rival ended up murdered and his Atlantic City properties were bankrupt soon after. Only in Donald Trump's world can such a risky bet, which nearly drowned him financially and was tied to a brutal murder, be seen as a victory. But that's just how he is, obsessed with winning at any cost. A relentless player, even when the odds are against him, someone who'd rather double down than admit defeat. That's the tale of how casino mogul Donald Trump faced his biggest challenge against one of the world's top players. It's a gripping story that reminds us that no matter how high you climb, taking big risks always comes with a price.